I'm very sorry to interrupt your enjoyment. The pain won't last too long. First of all, a very, very warm welcome to everybody to the JLE 2022 Gala Dinner. For those who don't know, most people know Lauren and I. I'm Anthony. My wife Lauren is sitting just over here. We're hosting you tonight. Thank you for joining us in our home. It's a huge privilege to be honoring our close friend and our rabbi, our guide, our mentor, Rabbi Ivan Lerner, to have Arlita with us and Ari. Thank you for joining us. Lauren and I met Rabbi Lerner 13 and a half years ago at Mitsuyan Restaurant, introduced by our friends in common, Johnny and Adina Schippel. He's been our guide ever since. Rabbi Lerner's greatness isn't that he comes up with the most sophisticated ideas and complicated solutions. His gift is that he sees issues as they are and keeps things simple. Anyone can complicate something. A true genius makes something simple. We thank Rabbi Lerner for being part of our family and part of our lives for 13 years. Our entire family is the richer for it. We've got some of our kids here, one's off in yeshiva, but you've really had a big impact and we've had some fun along the way as well. Thank you. It's a real privilege as well to host Senator Joe Lieberman in our home. It's a real privilege. Senator Lieberman is an iconic figure on the global stage, on the American stage, and in public life. He has that rare quality that he's respected and admired and trusted across the political spectrum in the United States. Lauren and I lost our fathers this past year, and one of the things that I took on was learning Pirkei Avos. The last mission in Pirkei Avos says, all that is holy, all that the Holy One, blessed is He, created in the world, He created solely for His glory. As it says, all that is called by my name, indeed it is for my glory that I have created it. So that's a bit unusual. That sounds more like a statement of fact. But we know that Pirkei Avos is a moral text. It's an instruction guide for us how to behave morally in the world. So my wife told me not to say this, but I am a simple guy. And I like to keep things simple. I'd like to know, what is the practical implication of the statement? All is created for His glory. My simple understanding is that we are here as Jews, we God's representatives. Our job is to make God look good. In last week's Parasha Vayera, we find Avram Avinu waiting at the entrance of his tent during a heat wave. He's just had his bris milah. He's really not feeling great. And it's a heat wave which is meant to be keeping him in a tent out of sight. But he sits outside in the sun and he's waiting for visitors. He sees 3 visitors coming along. And he says to God, just please wait here. I'm going to go and take care of my guests. But he says something unusual. He says, and I'm going to give you the English translation, my Lord, if I find favor in your eyes now, please pass not away from your servant. In other words, God, please come with me while I'm doing my mission. Senator Joe Lieberman is one of the highest profile observant Jews of our generation. He took Hashem with him into the United States Senate. He'd walk home an hour and a half from the capital to Georgetown, sometimes in the snow, driving rain and the heat, so that he wouldn't let down the citizens of his state and his country. He publicly showed the world what a Jew should do, how Jews should behave. Senator Lieberman is a living example of this Mishnah. He makes God look good. His position on the global stage, his integrity, his decency, his commitment to Jewish values and observance, he defines the term Kiddush Hashem. We're very privileged, Senator, to have you in our presence tonight. Thank you. So the reason that we're here tonight, in case people didn't realize, is that we're here to support the JLE. Our personal connection with the JLE began about 20 years ago in Johannesburg, quite a few years before Lauren and I moved to London. It started with Rabbi Danny Kirsch. We're privileged to be able to continue supporting JLE under the enthusiastic and energetic and youthful leadership of Rabbi Benji Morgan. Benji popped in a few days ago, and We were sitting in my study. He was getting mobbed by my dog who had cabin fever, so we went out for a walk. And Benji's got a way of asking for advice, but what he's actually doing is giving an instruction. So Benji says to me, as we're walking along, I think Benji was throwing the ball to the dog. The dog really likes him. He says, Anthony, do you think that you should mention when you speak that at the recent Ort dinner, the guy running it was a JLE alumnus, and the three trustees are JLE alumni? And I said, that's a good idea, Benji. I think that's a good idea. He mentioned as well that there's a similar thing, JLE alumni running Magen David Adom, Young Jewish Care, Young Norwood. And this is a crucial point. And I'm going to just segue. I'm going to finish off this somewhat lengthy welcome and introduction with a story, which goes back about 20 years ago. So 20 years ago, my friend Damon Hoff, my very close friend Damon, Michael Setzer, who's a very close friend in Johannesburg, and my brother Martin, set up Yad Mordechai Trust. We decided we needed to get the advice of the Gedolim, of the leaders of the generation, the rabbinic leaders of the generation. So we did a trip to Israel. And we met the leaders. And the question was, what should priorities in Tzedakah be? What should we be supporting as we're going out on this venture? This is now 20 years ago. And across the board, the advice was, you've got to support Torah. Rav Moshe Shapiro added to that, he qualified it. He said the first priority in life is to save a life physically and spiritually. And we came back, and I thought to myself, I didn't say it to Damon or Michael, my brother, but it did sound a bit self-serving. If you're going to ask rabbis what you should be supporting, what would you expect? But then a few years later, the penny dropped, and sometimes the penny really does drop. I was listening to a 5-hour history series by Rabbi Beryl Wein, Crash Course in Jewish History, 2,500 years in 5 hours. And when you look at Jewish history in these big swathes of time, in these 500 years swathes of time, you get a sense of the flow of history. And what becomes completely apparent is that the only thing that keeps Jews Jewish is Torah. There's not a single community that's ever existed, that's ever survived more than a few hundred years without Torah. It doesn't exist. It's axiomatic that the only thing that keeps Jews Jewish is Torah. And what became apparent is if we want Jews supporting old age homes and art museums and ambulances in 100 and 200 and 300 years' time, we have to be supporting Torah now. And that's what we're doing at JLE. We've already seen the leadership roles that JLE alumni are taking, and please God, we'll see their children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren taking on the same roles. That's why we support the JLE. We're planting seeds, we're planting trees. Please God, these trees will be around for hundreds or thousands of years. Lauren and I have had a tough year. As I mentioned, we've both lost our fathers. Lost my father, John. Lauren lost her father, Brian. And we're hoping that tonight we're sponsoring and hosting tonight in honor of their memories. And please God, this will be successful, and that success will be a real merit and a real boost and a lift to their souls. A special thank you to the JLE team. Thank you for putting this on. Thank you for using our garden. And a special thank you to my wife, Lauren, for doing this. I told you it wouldn't be that hard. It's a special, as I said, it's a special privilege not only to have Rabbi Lerner here, but Arlita and Ari. Ari's going to be saying some words to his father. Thank you.